All right, YouTube. This Detroit's HPTV coming to you out of Detroit on a Saturday. I know after Thursday night's debate, it's been so much content that's been out here. Well, we would be remiss over here at Detroit's HPTV if we didn't check on the witches of the view. Now, you know they staunch Democratic shields, so the Democrats can do no wrong, but even they got mixed feelings. Then we're going to check out another clip with Stephen A. Smith. He's always been a shield, but he likes to apologize when he criticizes the Democrats. Now, they are still want to say we didn't see what we seen with the Biden debate, which was cringe-worthy to say the least, and elder abuse on a whole nother level, parading your senile family member out there in front of the world. That's bad. That's bad on Jill Biden. But she don't want to give up being first lady and give up her power. They saying they even begging for Michelle Obama to run for president, which is not going to happen because they know she can't win. But it's still some people saying they'll vote for Biden even though we see now. So this country got a strange set of politics going on right now. But I want y'all to bear with me and watch these witches of the view and see how they spin their narrative. Then we're going to check out Stephen A. So this for fair usage of the 1976 Copyright Act for education, commentary, and the First Amendment, because they be having a problem when you critique them. Check out the view.
Well, glad somebody's happy and enthusiastic today. I think they're on medication.
Most of us are mourning.
Mourning, yes. Well, let's not get too depressed yet.
Okay.
Because I'm assuming that you all saw last night the debates, right? President Biden and Donald Trump went head-to-head in their first 2024 presidential debate on CNN. And while Biden raised concerns with a hoarse, occasionally weak delivery, Trump lied dozens of times in a nice, clear voice. Take a look.
I want you to pay attention that they all keep saying the same narrative that Trump lied. What did he lie about? Because the fact checkers have came out and exposed that everything Biden said was a lie. But I think they under that guise that if you say something enough times, it'll become true, or at least enough people will believe it. So it still holds the power of truth if the masses are manipulated into believing a particular thing. But check out what they're saying they're lying about.
With everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death.
I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
The only person on this stage is a convicted felon is the man I'm looking at right now.
When he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon.
Having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant. I mean, what are you talking about? You have the morals of an alley cat.
Your man, sir.
I didn't have sex with a porn star. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago.
I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
Let's not act like children.
Oh, says the adolescent moron. Calls people names. He's a toddler. What was going on through your head as you watched this last night?
It was really hard to watch. And it kind of pains me to say this today, but I think President Biden needs to step down and be replaced.
You do.
If we want to defeat Donald Trump in November, I absolutely think that, and I think Biden's team saw.
Now, I'm just gonna interject there because she said something that they didn't want her to say. She's going off script, and you're gonna see that a lot of them is saying that Biden should step down, but this is the scenario that they wanted when they put him up there. They want him to step down so that they can put in a candidate that they think can win or think can manipulate the people. So they're going to continue to demonize Trump and, ask Biden to step away for health reasons, play on the sympathy of the masses and the fear. The Democrats are master manipulators when it comes to playing with your emotions. So you got to kind of see through their theater, because this is theater here too.
Coming. I think that's why they pushed for an earlier debate, so they'd have time to change course if needed, but they've got to act fast. And I would implore those closest with the president to have the very hard conversations they're going to need to have, and not just for political ramifications, for humanity, for his integrity, and for his legacy, which, I mean, that's all on the line right now. And Democrats need to stop spinning the age problem. We have sat here, and Alyssa has repeatedly brought up that a lot of people are concerned with his age. And over, Democrats have twisted themselves into a pretzel to say, don't believe your lying eyes, it's not true. And even at this table, we've said, look, Joy's 81. Joy Behar at 81.
Must we keep repeating that?
Sorry. Joy Behar at 81
But I am.
is not Joe Biden at 81.
No.
And that was on full display last night. But let me be clear. If November comes and President Biden and President Trump are on the ticket, I will 100% be voting for President Biden, because the alternative is too scary for me.
See the hypocrisy? Stephen A. Smith going to say the same thing. They're going to say to you that even though he's dealing with dementia and his health is in decline and he's senile, we're still going to vote for him. What kind of sense does that make? But they so Trump deranged, and they done, spin this narrative so much that they stuck in it. How you gonna vote for a person that you just said needs to be committed, or needs to be in a nursing home or something to that degree? Listen to them; they're not making no sense.
But I fear that many people in this country do not feel the same way.
So I was genuinely in shock last night watching this. Even though I've had concerns for a couple of years about Biden's age, it was stunningly worse than I expected, the performance. I think within the first 90 seconds, it was kind of baked in. And I think a lot of people tuned out some of the later part of the debates. And I want to be clear, Donald Trump was a mess. He lied his way through it, but Joe Biden's performance was so bad that it eclipsed everything that Donald Trump said. And his
Want to say that again?
it eclipsed the performance of Donald Trump because the distraction was on Joe Biden's performance. But here's the thing. Biden has been running on Donald Trump as a threat to democracy. He's a threat to our values. I agree with him on that. Donald Trump is a threat to American democracy. We need someone who can beat him. And so I think I've been told for a long time.
In all actuality, what are the Democratic values over there? Their whole campaign is based on abortion, dealing with the gender identity of children, the LGBT community. What are their values that they're talking about? And what they call democracy is an illusion. This is a constitutional republic. Democracy is something that they sell to the masses to make them think that they have a voice in their political situations, when in all actuality, it's elite people and globalists running the world. Elites and globalists are running the world, and bankers. So they put these talk show hosts out there to the people because the people are like sheep. You know what I mean? And they get an audience and they appeal to your emotions and appeal to your fears, and they can just walk you off a cliff. The people are acting like sheep when they listen to these people. Listen to them some more.
And put country before put country before party and support Joe Biden.
Right.
He needs to put country before his own ambition, and he needs to step aside and pass the baton. Because I'm telling you right now, Trump world is scared when they're hearing rumblings that there could be someone else on the ticket. They know that any other Democrat will wipe the floor with Donald Trump. Mark my words, if it's Trump versus Biden, Trump is going to.
But we only have 40 days.
Look, I think
to the convention, but you have 130
right.
to the election.
Look, I think what we saw was that Biden lost that debate. I think that is an accurate depiction of what happened. Blame it on a cold, blame it on his stuttering, blame it on over preparation, whatever.
Now, I want y'all to pay attention to Sonny Hostin. She is the chief race baiter and attack dog. Everybody else, her and Joy Behar, they the ones that get away with playing the race card. They the ones that get away with being excessively rude and disrespectful. So just prime yourself up to listen how Sonny's going to come at it.
But he did lose. Maybe he needs to go. Maybe he needs to be honest with himself and the American people. He can bow out at this time with grace and dignity. He has a record he can be proud of. But what I will say this, I think it's really ironic that we're the only party talking about needing to replace our nominee. I think it's really ironic that the party that should be pressuring their candidate to step aside is the Republican Party. Their nominee is a convicted felon. He's facing hundreds of charges for criminal activity and has been proven to be a racist, a business fraud.
Now, they be talking about lying. I mean, the Democrats or the people on the left, the liberals, lying is something that they own, obviously, because they accuse other people of lying while they're lying. She said Trump is being convicted and facing hundreds of charges. Hundreds. Really? Hundreds. She's embellishing, to say the least.
For sexual abuse and insurrectionists, and as Biden said, he has the morals of an alley cat. Republicans need to be holding him accountable. The majority of the party, which has been cowardly and feckless and complicit and enabling in allowing Trump's racism, bullying, his demagoguery, misogyny. Why are we, as Democrats, those of us that are Democrats, calling for our nominee to change?
Because he's using
I'll tell you. I'll answer that. And I've always said to you that Republicans and Democrats are cut from a different cloth.
Yes.
Yeah. Democrats are exquisite. They're precious. They're idealists. Look, I've known Joe Biden and I love Joe Biden. And I've known Joe Biden for over 20 years. I've never seen Joe Biden like I saw him last night. Sure. It is worrisome. But to me, the binary, until Joe Biden tells me he's giving up, I'm not giving up.
They're lying again. The whole country been seeing Joe Biden going through this. He pooped his pants in France, falling off Air Force One. And they were saying it was a deep fake or fake news. Now they say they've never seen him like that. This is crazy. These people think they own lying. They don't realize that lying is an equal opportunity situation. Everybody gets a chance to tell a lie.
On Joe Biden. And so to me, the binary choice remains the same. He looked elderly yesterday. He sounded elderly. He is elderly. But the choice is no different. It is a very old man versus a very bad man. It is a man who speaks with a weak voice, but tells me the truth in a weak elderly voice, and a man who lies with impunity. He is a machine gun of.
So we folks forget Jim Crow Joe, the segregationist, that said that the black people were super predators, and he didn't want black children going to school with his children because it turned them into racial jungles. Then he said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Then he had the drug laws and the crime bills that decimated the black community. And he still gets on here and lies consistently. I guess it's okay for y'all to take up for this old geezer, but this geezer history has been a history of being a racist and then a covert racist. He went undercover and hid his racism, but it still seeps out. And the more that you expose him to media and interviews, you're going to see how racist he still is, even in his senility.
And he does it with a stronger voice. Okay. So I'm not going to judge Joe Biden on 90 bad minutes. I'm going to judge Joe Biden on his lifetime career of putting this country first, of putting you first, of putting women's rights first. And I'm going to judge Trump on 4 debacle of years. 4 years that Biden has made us forward. Joe Biden.
And I have to keep saying this. I didn't know in a so-called Christian nation, abortion was so important. They're not teaching abstinence at school. They're teaching your children how to change their genders. They're teaching them that they can be anything, non-binary, Q plus, and that's what they're teaching. They're not teaching abstinence. They went into an outrage because conservatives said they wanted the 10 Commandments in the schools. But when you go to court, you swear on the Bible, and an affidavit is an oath. I thought y'all said this country was built on Judeo-Christian ethic. But the Democrats, what they say their values is inclusion. And what they call inclusion is including everything that God says don't do, you can do under the guise of liberalism and inclusion. It's just their right to debauchery. They don't want to be criticized and called on their debauchery. They want to be shameless. They want the nation to be shameless. That's the freedoms they want, to have no shame. Think about it.
Not get through that debate and convey what either of you just did. I was dying for Biden to do better. He could not articulate a vision, the threat of Trump, get through a policy statement. The stakes are too high in this election. They're foundationally too high to run this man.
There was something about the debate that threw him into this state that he was in, because watch this. While Donald Trump was probably enjoying a celebratory platter of cheeseburgers, President Biden made an appearance at a watch party a little while after the debate, and he scarcely resembled the guy from earlier in the evening. This is really unbelievable. Watch.
Look, folks, what's going to happen over the next couple of days is they're going to be out there fact-checking all the things he said. I can't think of one thing he said that was true. Oh, I'm not being facetious. But look, we're going to beat this guy. We need to beat this guy. And I need you in order to beat him. You're the people I'm running for.
Clearly that drill kicked in.
So suddenly, no colds. Suddenly he was 63. You know, what happened? No, when I watched
you
that,
put the president under heat to completely execute. It's not. Life is not going to be a watch party. Life is going to be a debate.
You need to be able to take the 3 a.m.
Let me tell you something. The lies were coming like he had a bump stock.
Yeah, he couldn't counter them.
And it's hard. It's hard to do that. Listen, guys,
They keep saying he lying, but they won't tell us what lie he told. He talked about how Biden exited Afghanistan and left the civilians and took the military and left the weapons to the Taliban. That actually happened. He talked about how Biden opened the border for millions of illegal immigrants. That actually happened. He talks about how Biden been lying about inflation, and he's actually doing it, saying that the economy is good and saying there's jobs everywhere. So you mean to tell me that in this strange democracy, that telling the truth is the lie and lying is telling the truth? The media is twisted.
distinctly remember when John Kerry beat the hell out of George W. Bush in the first debate and everybody thought the race was over. I distinctly remember when Mitt Romney beat the hell out of Barack Obama in the first debate and everybody thought, oh my God, what are we doing? So he had a terrible debate. I think we need to watch very closely how he is since then. Because when I watched that clip that you just played, I thought to myself, where the hell were you, Joe? Where the hell was this Joe Biden?
Respectfully, I actually was so upset about this last night at 1 a.m. I rewatched Reagan versus Mondale in '84 when Reagan got trounced.
Yeah.
Reagan at his worst was 10 times better than both performances last night. Barack Obama first debate against Mitt Romney was 10,000 times better. It was 10,000 times better than what we saw. This is historically bad, and I think we need to be awake to the stakes of it because the time is really.
Reagan had Alzheimer's in his second term. We did not know it,
and we should have known. And by the way, this White House should tell us. I feel duped. I feel like I've been told this guy's doing gymnastics.
Yeah, but he obviously rallied when it was.
So they saying that the president can be in there with the nuclear codes and have Alzheimer's and the people not supposed to know. I mean, media is ridiculous. And I know a lot of my viewers, it's painful to watch The Witches of the View, you know? But, you know, at least Whoopi wasn't there. She wasn't there to weigh in. She'll be there Monday with the rest of the cackling hens.
Off that stage with
that wasn't like that. He wasn't
I firmly believe that his team, with the best of intentions, over prepared him. He had like 5 different points to answer every issue, and they were getting jumbled.
Well, like I said, maybe
it
was over preparation. Maybe it was a cough, whatever, a cold, whatever it was. But it is his decision to look within himself and decide whether or not he's a better candidate than the other.
It's an emergency situation we're in right now. We're talking about the demise of democracy here, which is what Joe Biden should have said in his wrap-up speech at the end.
Right.
What is on the line? Nothing less than the democracy we've enjoyed for all these years. Nothing less than women's rights to tell you what their body should do, not some politician who thinks that a fallopian tube is a way to get to New Jersey.
Terrible.
So we're a week away.
Now we're gonna see Stephen A. Smith. You know, Stephen A. Smith is the gift that keeps on giving. I think he just like to jump out there for content. I think he like to jump out there because he'll say something that goes against the party line with the Democrats, and then he'll apologize and he say everybody's coming at him for saying something, but then he'll say something else. So I just think he like the likes and views and like attention. So let's give him some.
Thursday night, President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump held their first of 2 scheduled debates moderated by CNN's Dana Bash and Jake Tapper at CNN Studios in Atlanta, Georgia. During the 90-minute debate, Biden and Trump were asked about the economy, the war in Ukraine, climate change, the border, and election denials, issues most Americans, in polls anyway, say they're most concerned about. And let's not get Roe v. Wade. Those are some of the issues heading into the 2024 election, of course. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a disaster. It was an utter embarrassment. The fact that those 2 candidates, one has been indicted and ultimately convicted, who's been impeached twice, the other who's clearly lost his fastball, he's a bit considerably slower than he used to be. No shame in that. He's 81 years of age. We're talking about our President Joe Biden. But the bottom line is that 2-3 minutes in, he froze. 2-3 minutes in, you were wondering, the panic mode hit because you were wondering whether or not this was going to be Mitch McConnell all over again when he froze during a press conference. It was scary as hell. And the fact that these are the 2 best candidates that the world has to see for the presidency of the United States might be one of the most embarrassing situations we've ever witnessed as a country. You know, I've been on the record and I've taken a lot of heat saying this, but the Democrats should be ashamed of themselves. It's a national disgrace that since 2016, you didn't have enough of a bullpen and you left folks to depend on Joe Biden. It's an absolute, utter disgrace that he was on that stage last night. Maybe he could sit behind the desk in the Oval Office and he's still sharp enough to make decisions. But clearly in a live format with no delays and no insulation whatsoever, where you stand out there on your own, mano a mano, versus a Donald Trump, who, if nothing else, was sharp. I'm not saying he was telling the truth. I'm not saying that he was substantive in everything that came out of his mouth, and he was honest and factual and all of that stuff, because we know that is never the case with Donald Trump. The bottom line is he appeared to be pretty sharp, lucid, aware, quick on his feet, etc. And to be quite honest with you, regardless of how disrespectful he appeared at times, I thought he took it light on Trump. I'm sorry, on Biden. I thought he took it light on Biden. It was that damn bad. Now, if you're the Democratic Party, you're going to have some people out there saying it was just one night and it was just one debate. Nah. What if Trump says, I don't need to debate again? And all we have to hold on to is what we witnessed last night. A brain fart within 3 minutes. Mumbling often enough where Donald Trump ended up saying, I don't understand what he said with that last sentence. I don't think he understands what he said. Where the nation is looking at it, and you have pundits on both sides of the aisle looking sad and despondent. In Van Jones' case for CNN, he looked like he was about to cry.
Van Jones always cry.
Other pundits were saying, where are the family members? How could you put your dad out there like that? How could you put your husband out there like that? If you're the Democratic Party, how could you put one of your colleagues and your contemporaries out there like that? What the hell is going on? What's going on? He's not.
Oh, they're going to come for Stephen A. for this one because he took a shot at Jill Biden. They've been talking about Jill Biden. She's so drunk with power and want to be the first lady. She keeps sending her husband out there like that. You know what I mean? Embarrassing. You know, lying. It's ridiculous. And then what's crazy is this people still saying they're going to vote for him. They're going to vote for a man in full dementia and senility. It's crazy.
What he used to be. Ain't Kamala Harris qualified?
No.
Westmore, governor of Maryland. What about him?
No.
Gavin Newsom, you gonna still keep saying you ain't running, you ain't running, you ain't running. Nobody's gonna go to Biden and say, we love you. We appreciate what you've done for this country, your years of service. But please, it's time for you to step aside. We just gonna let him go out there like that.
Yep.
We just gonna leave him out hanging like that.
Yep. That's what the Democrats do.
You know how desperate that makes you look as a Democratic Party? I can say that. I don't care about people coming after me. I have voted Democrat 99% of the time in my life. The only Republican I ever voted for was Governor Chris Christie in New Jersey. That's it. Don't come to me telling me as an American citizen I don't have a right to look at what I saw last night and be incredibly concerned. I understand this isn't the first romp we've seen in the debate. Barack Obama got destroyed in his first debate versus Mitt Romney. He came back like a winner thereafter. But in the very first debate against Mitt Romney, it should have been a mercy rule inserted. It was that bad. But he's young enough, vibrant enough, intellectually heightened, obviously quick of foot, knowing, substantive, combative, etc., etc. He didn't have Father Time operating against him. There is no shame for Joe Biden. If you're listening, Mr. President, there's no shame in stepping away because you acknowledge you just don't have it anymore. Not on that kind of platform. But that's just me. Joe Biden, as far as I'm concerned, needs to step away. Kamala Harris needs to be inserted immediately as the candidate to go up against Trump, or get somebody else up in there. Get somebody else up in there. Because what we saw last night, Trump will be the next president of the United States of America come January 2020.
One thing about it, all the undercurrents is they want a new candidate. You know, The whole purpose for even putting Biden out there on the front line like that, to be embarrassed, to be humiliated, like some type of political humiliation ritual, was to call for him to be removed or to try to bolster Kamala Harris's status because she's going to be chief puppet in chief. Because at this point, you have to know that her and Joe Biden are not running the country. The country is definitely being ran by elitists and globalists, international bankers, and the same hidden hand that has been ruling by secrecy since the 1700s. Do your homework. Well, I don't know. I just want you to see the division over there on the political entertainment left, because they are the ones that they use to run their psychological operations on the masses of the people. You watch them, and you take your actors and your singers and your entertainers for leaders, when all the time they have a job, which is to manipulate you, which is to brainwash you. They are agents of the chaos. So it's Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Sound to you are Detroit. It's Detroit's HPTV. Support Detroit's Black Thought and Action Collective, nonprofit out of Detroit. And as always, salute to all patriots. And y'all keep y'all head on the swivel. Peace. Like